Audio. Okay. Sorry to anybody who was waiting here the entire time, but I had to go check on Milo, our neighbor's cat. I had to go poison a bunch of fire ants and do various other things. I usually have now started trying to start the stream starting soon thing, like at least a few minutes beforehand, so that some people have some time to see it and show up. I don't usually intend for it to be sitting there for an hour before I show up, but that's what happens this time, so you'll just have to live with it. Also, I'm not just regular congested this time. I am actually like mildly sick, so for said reasons, I'm gonna try to not go too long. I say that anyways normally, but this time I have a legitimate reason for that. Okay, we got well, this isn't going to show anything yet, but got two living people thus far. Soon is commonly seen on one of the comedic signs held up by the blocky cartoon characters on this British dude's channel, who you should go and watch. Uh, these he does these summaries of historical events, and has these like little blocky, not Minecraft, but they look like that box head zombie shooter game kind of characters that I used to play way back in college, and like animate stuff. I was actually thinking for Dream War for that animated series I would like to exist in some form eventually, but will probably only get to the point of being like kind of comic online comic-y or storyboard format ish as part of like an advertisement thing running up to it. If I ever actually have the money, I've actually imagined like commissioning him to make a fake like fictional episode, but instead of like about the run up to the real World War I, it would be about the run up to the war that takes place in the series, in the fictional universe in which the series takes place. Let me chug some water. Ah, uh, okay. So, anybody else alive? Not yet. While we're waiting for people to show up, I figure once every week or stream or so, I'll help you guys out sort of in a new way. I'll give you some insights into some of my secrets. In this case, the images disappeared, so now I'm going to have to hunt and try to find them. How I get by both when I was on my own and down here in exile at my parents' place, uh, putting less of a financial strain on them, how I managed to get by spending so little money. Are they out? Are they back in here? I was going to try to let you guys in on some of my secrets that would both also help you reduce costs along with reducing the amount of just resources you're using in general. Uh, I do not know what happened to them. Unless they're in here. Okay, it would be before the West Virginia stuff. Was it? Okay, it was before the snow stuff, probably. Was it before that bridge stuff? Okay, we're back to before the bridge. When did I All right, this is probably, yeah, that would have been way before I took those. Where did they go? So I thought I put them in the little streams subfolder in the downloads folder. Let me check again just to see if I was blind. That's all stuff I took from my phone in the store. I don't see them in here. Did I accidentally put them in a different folder? No, doesn't look like it. Uh, Maybe I accidentally put them in here. They otherwise seem to have disappeared completely. So we're gonna go on a bit of a hunt. I'm pretty sure they were from my Canon SX540, so they should be labeled image. Yeah, wherever they are, they should be under, they should have an IMG label or for a file type. So that's the same type the phone uses, obviously, but yeah, I'm not seeing them. Well, here's Milo, anyways. It's the cat I was talking about. Our neighbor's cat. There used to be two. There was another cat named June, or June, Double June, his adoptive sister, but someone ran her over, and no one wants, everyone keeps really wanting to give other humans the benefit of the doubt, but there was no curve or turn. The person was coming around. They could see her, and there was no stopping. So, yes, no matter how much denial anyone wants to be in, they ran her over on purpose. And they're still out there somewhere. They out here in general? No, no, there's just pics I took of my no cat shirt. Oh, they're reversed. Hold on. Let me, what is that? Rotate? How do you flip? There we go. The no cat shirt. It's just a cat looking very displeased and with the little no exclamation point, which is my general attitude towards anyone asking anything about anything ever, is just don't talk to me. Uh, Maybe they got shoved into cyber? No, I don't know what happened to them. Use? There we go. Okay. So, a both money saving plus resource use reducing tip that Maxogear uses. So, when you have a tray and you're going to put stuff in the oven, and you usually put either foil, aluminum foil, or in some cases parchment paper, whichever, or baking paper, whichever works better. Usually, because that's just how anyone instinctively does it, you cover the pan or the sheet in whatever it is, and then you just kind of throw whatever you're eating onto it in a haphazard fashion. If you know what you're eating and how much you're going to make, like for me in this case, these were mozzarella sticks, and I usually eat 7 or 8 when I have a meal of those. Instead of covering the whole sheet and using that much aluminum foil, I tear out about 30% or 40% as much, enough to cover like kind of a middle sensor bar here, and just line the things up nicely on here. I do the same thing with like chicken nuggets. When I make chicken nuggets, I just get a central sheet and put them on the central sheet. So this has me using less than half as much aluminum foil or baking paper than I would otherwise. So there's your uh, one piece of fresh money saving slash resource use reducing advice from me for this time. Okay, so that should be enough time for people to have shown up. One other person, got you. Got a total of 6 people. All right, good enough. Let's go. So and EpiPen disappeared. Okay, let's fix that. You do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you come out, and it's ready. So the deal for the whole U.S. Iran Strait of Hormuz thing is, excuse me, I hit the trash button. Is, let's draw a big check mark. Finalized. It's not signed yet. That's been put off until probably Monday or Tuesday. Trump probably wants to play with the market one last time, do some threatening hype Sunday night so that oil prices spike, and he can do another $1 billion pullout or have Jared Kushner do it for him, and then sign the actual stuff on Monday or Tuesday, uh, since by that point the game is up. But actually, speaking of that, oil prices have, apart from the fact that they were staying way too low to begin with, prices they have collapsed prematurely. So they never should have only been around 100 from the start. That's because we and everybody else were dumping out our strategic oil reserves inventories to flood the market and keep prices suppressed because everything revolves around GDP and making sure the line still goes up. And so it was way lower than it should have been. But now that the deal is here, they've collapsed way too early. Because remember, even if it was instantaneous and you flipped the switch and everything went back on, and traffic went back up to full, it's still going to take a few months for everything to return to normal because there are ships in the Gulf sitting there that can go out and immediately, and there are few waiting outside that can go in immediately. But in large part, the fleets are kind of elsewhere waiting, so it's going to take them a couple weeks or as much as a month to go there. Takes about a week to fill them up, and then another up to another month in some cases to reach their destination after that. So the actual arrivals of the fully resumed traffic once everything begins are going to take 2 months to show up. And also, for several months, countries are going to be over purchasing to try to recover their strategic stores of spare petroleum, anyways. So the actual supply situation is not going to restabilize for a while. So the current drop down to the upper 80s per barrel in oil is completely unjustified. But the market has ceased being physical reality based and is now primarily vibes based. And by vibes, apparently that means looking at Trump's tweets on Twitter. And no, I'm not calling it X. Uh, get over it. But ah, hold on, water. The all the different expanded pipelines, restored pipelines, and new pipeline stuff is still going through with all of that. That stuff is still being done. No one's changing course on that for hopefully obvious reasons, because no one wants to have it as easy to be as easily put in this position again. And Iran, like I said before, is actually really smart. They kind of knew this would be the result, so that's why they sort of went so hard on this time, because they kind of know this is the one and only time they'll be able to actually get this much out of it. And they have managed to get quite a bit out of it. Obviously, apart from getting the U.S. to back down off of all the initial stuff, the initial like demands of which from the U.S. were no nuclear anything anymore, uh, no more missiles, no more proxy groups. So for one, the U.S. publicly abandons number two, to which Israel is pissed about. Three, the U.S. not publicly abandoned number three by just ceasing to mention it and pretending that that demand never existed, which Israel is also pissed at us about. And one, changed no nuclear anything to just no nukes, which Iran is willing to agree to on paper, at least. They're almost certainly still going to try to make nukes after this. And uh, they, Iran agreed for whatever the period of time gets signed as 5 years or 6 years or whatever uh, to to be monitored by the whatever the atomic agency is, uh, to be monitored on the ground by the international. I think it's just International Atomic Committee or something like that. They agreed to like a 5 or 6 year term to be monitored by the International Atomic Committee or something. But after that, terms are up and they, could start making nukes again, which they absolutely are going to. And uh, hold up, what was for Trump's win declaration, for him to like hype himself up, he did convince them. He did convince them to restore the internet in Iran. So he's gonna spin that at home as like a big epic bringer of freedom thing, and say he convinced the Ayatollah to set his people free or whatever and give them back their internet. They just started restoring the internet a couple days ago. But that's the general ensemble of things. And for attention deviation, Trump's moved on to Cuba, and now we have a carrier strike group around Cuba because despite the fact that, as said before, the Cuban government in Havana has already agreed. Let me draw a frowny face here because they already agreed publicly to acquiesce to whatever terms the U.S. asked. Blah blah blah. Stop relations with China and Russia. Reform the economic system. Sign business deals to do stuff with the U.S. only, et cetera, et cetera. The only caveat they put from their end was that they, the current individual people in power in Cuba, get to stay in power. And originally it looked like the administration was going to agree to that, but now after the Iranian misadventure, it looks like Trump wants to bomb something that he can really easily bomb, so that he can look cool and do a big withered, wrinkly old man dick flex without actually crashing the global economy as a result. So, despite their acquiescence already, it looks like, I guess, that's not enough because Trump has to compensate now. On top of all the other stuff he's doing, which is getting undone, like the Kennedy, not the Kennedy Space Center, but the Kennedy like Memorial Museum Center, which now even the previously Trump aligned uh, Supreme Courts have now ordered he can't have his name on it, so that has to be stripped off, which he's going to be pissed about. Now the the Navy brass have actually also said that they're probably not going to allow let me draw some water here. They're probably actually not going to allow the new the new class of naval vessel that was formerly going to be called the Constellation class, after a famous ship from the Revolutionary War that was called the Constellation. I think that's the one that's still in. I actually think that's the one that's still in. That was restored and is still in Baltimore Harbor. That I've visited a few times. I'd love to go back to Baltimore like anywhere else, but that requires money. Uh, Let me see if I can find that one. Uh, yeah, I think it's that one there. It's in Baltimore Harbor, but now Trump had the whole project renamed to the Trump class destroyer or Trump class new Navy vessel. Now the Navy brass again. Keep in mind, I can't draw the lull guy emoji thing that gets used on Twitch, but uh, the Navy, the like Navy brass, the ones that are Trump aligned, because remember, when he started things, he had Hegseth, the neo-Nazi nipple tattoo guy, kick out a bunch of non draw a kick arrow here, a bunch of non-Trump loyalists. So these are the guys left over that were loyal to Trump in the beginning. Now these are the ones saying that they're not actually going to go through with calling anything the Trump class shit. So instead, you've probably seen the news recently. He's trying to get Congress to sign a thing to mint a $250 bill with his face on it, and they're not going for it. Even a lot of the Republicans in Congress are not going for it. So his whole self dick riding adventure is starting to fizzle out. Let's see. Got one other living person now. Nine. Okay. Okay. Talking for long enough that the coffin started. How long have I been on? 20 minutes. I'll try to go to 30. Uh, there's not there's not a lot else to say specifically though. Oh, that was one of the other things actually. Sorry. Uh Iran did concede on the whole Lebanon angle in the negotiations, because originally they had the IDF stopped bombing Lebanon as one of their things, but they apparently gave that one up as they've stopped insisting on it and stopped caring. Meanwhile, the IDF has now resumed full tempo of bombing across Lebanon. They haven't resumed carpet bombing Beirut just yet, but they have bombed it a few more times now. And so we're up to somewhere around 3,500 dead civilians in Lebanon and somewhere in excess of 10,000 people who are hospitalized or were hospitalized with horrific injuries at some point, which, it's also going to affect their ability to work again, et cetera, et cetera. Increased amount of people are fleeing Lebanon to other places, wherever they have relatives, most of them somewhere in Europe, some going to Turkey, some going to Cyprus. But it's continuing again with Israel's whole strategy of induced unlivability to encourage Lebanese to leave Lebanon, to actually have Lebanese people die and have the Lebanese birth rate drop, which as of the start of 2025, it was down to 1.6. So Lebanon's population as a whole was around like 9 million at the start of the 21st century. And once you hit the 2006 war, you've seen it go down since then. And it is now down at between 5.6 and 5.7 million. So the strategy is clearly working on gradually reducing Lebanon's population. Doing the same thing in Gaza. October 7 gave them like full jump in casus belli to go ahead with it. Before that, it was going to be a really slow, dragged out process, like Lebanon has been. But now they've been able to obviously go full tilt with it. And the indeterminates, like, because they're constantly blocking aid and trying to keep as much data getting out, uncertain total medical deprivation deaths and starvation deaths, following all the other deaths at this point, but somewhere in the hundreds of thousands. Uh, the Gaza depopulation thing and erasure is going much faster, obviously. And they've even been cranking up the stuff in the West Bank. The number of people like individually killed by Israeli settlers this year is only like it's a bit under 100, but the degree of threats and harassment and burning houses and stuff is rapidly exacerbated now, and thus it's putting downward pressure on people, causing them to either flee or uh, causing them to have fewer children, which is also a goal, achieves the same end goal in the long run. And so, uh, same strategy in different ways is at play across all three. And previously, they were not doing it in Syria because Syria was doing that to itself for them. However, now that Syria's stabilized and reunified, I basically 99.9% guarantee you they're they're going to go for starting up something again in Syria in some way, because they don't want a restored Syria. I mean, it kind of got to the point where I don't know if it was Netanyahu or if it was just the minister of defense of Israel or whatever, but there's they did just publicly flat out say that they only want uh, depopulated failed states around them, and the only one they give a pass to for the moment apparently is Jordan. But they didn't even mention giving a pass to Egypt, so they also, to some degree, want Egypt as a collapsed failed state. So this isn't actually stopping, at least this portion of it. The uh, the Strait of Hormuz stuff is the only part that's actually stopping. But the continuing outward uh, spiral of IDF destabilizing and induced unlivability actions, that part ain't ever stopping. Okay, nothing else. Nothing else. Okay, a lot of people showed up way after the start, unless it's counting that as when I first put the thing up. If anybody did only show up recently, as always, you can scroll along the thing. And also, as always, for anybody who is new or who doesn't know or who forgot, if you go down to the description under the stream or any video in the last 2 years, you'll see apart from the PayPal and Patreon links, there's a free to access Drive folder link. And you go here, and I maintain this Google Drive folder full of free to access, free to use data, graphs and stuff. Like, for example, look at the oil demand graphs. There you go. Australia's oil demand from 1975 up to present day. These are all available constantly, all the time, for free. There's no paywall. If you use them for something and you make like a lot of money off of it, if you toss me like 1 or 2% of that, that would be awesome. But that's still also not required. I'm never going to paywall this. The only stuff that's going behind a quote unquote paywall is not stuff that anybody's actually trying to get, which is direct knowledge updates and viewership of the indie animation series project that me and Anya are working on, which I just did, finished doing some of the revisions to the screenplay for episode 1. So especially the opening sequence. But this year is one of the only times anybody outside of Patreon will probably end up getting to see the script directly. But all the graphs and data and stuff, the stuff that I actually is my supposed life purpose to make, that's all free perpetually. I updated the electricity generation source charts. I also made a subfolder for the old 2025 data so that people could still go back and look at that if they want to. But I updated all of these for the different electricity sources for each country and breakdown charts. Almost every country. I got like 170 out of 180 something or whatever. Oops, no. And then there's all, but yeah, there's all the types data there, infinite data, and I'm always finding new things to make graphs about. So there's always going to be more eventually. Ah, let me think. Did anything else specifically happen? Oh, not something that happened. There was like a specific event, but I'm gonna go ahead and stop Epic and where is it? Streams. Uh, which one's the most up to date? I don't think it's this one. No, that one stops at 18 or 2018. But so for good news, so I'm always going to include some U.S. The percent of the U.S. population that smokes cigarettes continues to go down. Peaked in 1954 at 45% of the population, which 45% of the population at that time was a little over 80 million people, as the total population in the U.S. at that time was, I think, around 180 or 170. Where is I know that's the one for multiple countries stacked. It has been falling for all countries across the board. This graph is a bit weird. This registers it in number of cigarettes per day per person in the country, which obviously that doesn't mean like the average individual person does this. This is when you stack all the cigarettes smoked by everybody across the entire population on top of each other, but it is going down for everybody. That one stops in 2015. Where's the main one? What's this? That was Oklahoma's oil production. That's not what we're looking for. Was it still out here somewhere? What's this? Well production. That's no, that's snowpack. Where there was one that smoking. Is that it? Nope, that one only goes up to 2017. There was one that went up to 2024. That's the one I'm looking for. But in the US specifically, the percentage of the population smoking cigarettes has fallen below 10% now as of hitting 2025. It's down to 9% of the population, or around 30 million people when you do 9% of the current population. So both the percentage and the number of people itself is going down, which is good. Less people having, the obvious smoke-related health problems, but also less cigarettes being thrown on the side of the road for me to pick up. Doesn't feel like it, obviously, because it's happening slowly, but I'll notice it eventually, I guess. and fewer cigarettes being thrown out into the environment means fewer contaminants like cyanide. There's literally cyanide in your cigarette, yes, leaking into the soil and thus getting into plants, eventually crops, eventually into your drinking water. Whereas that's not it. I don't think that's it. Where's the other? The other graph was the one that went to what's this? Uh, well, there's the British one, I guess. Brits are this stopped in 2023, and you guys were also still going down, obviously. So collectively, men and women combined, it's been 3 years. So you guys are now also probably below 10%. Where did the US one go? There we go. At the start of 2025, it was 9.9%. As of the end of 2025, this year, it's closer to 9%. So that is still going down. No, the laptop is in transit. It when it was made apparently in Thailand, then it was taken to Singapore, flown from Singapore. It did many hops: Singapore up to Vietnam, up to China, up to Japan, over to Anchorage because Anchorage is the Trans-Pacific cargo hub, down to Memphis here because that's where the FedEx hub is, and from there it will be hopping on a little ATR turboprop overnight tonight down to the Charleston area, from which maybe it would be delivered tomorrow, if not then Monday. So I don't think FedEx does Sundays. I know Amazon does everything 24/7, obviously, uh, and makes the employees pee in bottles and everything. But I think FedEx and UPS are still normal to my knowledge, at least. More water. Yeah, and anybody who showed up just now, scroll back along the timeline, etc. I'm gonna have to call it soon because my voice is going because I'm sick and I should not have been talking in the first place, but oh well. And even though I'm sick, I still have been doing my push-ups today. Every other day is push-up day. You don't want to do the same thing every day. You need at least the 1 day gap in between for the muscles to regenerate and reconstitute themselves. So every other day is push-up day. I've already done 100, over 125 push-ups today so far. I don't know how many any of you guys have done, but if you haven't done that many, then you need to get on my level. I set a new record for total number of push-ups over the course of a single day the other day. I did 174. If anybody can beat me. That's probably going to be it, unless anything comes up from anybody in any form. So I'll wait. What? Not a minute, like 30 seconds for the usual delay from when I speak to when you guys hear the stuff. No, that word would not apply until what happened there? Did the internet suddenly drop, or is that when? Oh, that's when I started talking about other things. That would require a lot of other stuff to happen, which is not going to happen. All right, 20 seconds, and then we end at exactly 40 minutes, unless anything comes up. And nope. All right. I will see you guys Tuesday, most likely, unless I upload something on the weekend.